Dave, 1-1 here in Dingwall. Can you give us your assessment of that?
Obviously right now it's huge frustration, the fact that we lose a goal late on in the end of the game, and also probably because of the manner in which we lose the goal. But listen, a point away from home is never a disaster, especially up here in the conditions. And it keeps the run going. Now, albeit we wanted 3 points today, of course. And then when I think back on how the game went, I thought first half, total control, dominated the game, got ourselves in front. And from that moment when we were in front, I did feel we were in control. Restricted Ross County to very little. Can't remember Jordan having to make a save at all. Without being brilliant in the game, though, no, it was a real difficult game for both sides to try and get the ball down in play, so it was never going to be a classic on that front or conducive to playing free-flowing football. But I thought we dealt with it well. As I say, restricted them to very little, and if I'm being critical, first half to second half, naturally Ross County are going to have a bit of a go towards the end of the game, but we probably didn't play as much in areas where we maybe could have, or didn't quite go and finish the game off in the second half, and that was maybe my only frustration, because when it's only 1-0 you always run the risk of being pegged back, and unfortunately for us today, they get the penalty at the end, and they get a point out of the game where it probably feels like 2 points dropped right now.
Yeah, you mentioned the penalty at the end. Can I get your take on both of the penalties, the one in the first and the second half?
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to stand and make excuses and say that's the reason, purely the reason why, but I think it's frustrating, because I think the first one, no one appeals for it in the stadium. It's poor defending from us though. You know, if the cross comes in and we actually are sleeping at the back post, so we get away with that. But the fact that then the ball bounces up and catches his arm, the referee says the letter of the law. His arm's away from his body, but I think it's almost impossible to let the ball run through you, turn with your arm at the side. So I think that's hard to take. Probably more because of the fact that nobody appealed. You know, it was one of them, so you find it's a bit of a strange one. Thankfully Jordan makes a save, which was great. And then the second one, again, poor defending from our point of view, decision making within that. So that was avoidable. So we can look at that rather than blaming referees. We can look at the decision to dribble out or not stop the cross, and then the striker gets to the ball first in the box. So there's 3 areas in which we could have stopped that. But I do still believe, even with that being said, the striker gets there first, but I think Smudge comes out, makes himself big to try and make a save, not to try and clatter into the striker. The striker kicks it out the pitch, and I think he then initiates contact into him. So I don't think it's what the referee described, which was a reckless tackle from the goalkeeper. It definitely wasn't that, in my opinion, which then makes it frustrating. But I'm not going to stand and put that down to why and make excuses for anybody, because when you're only 1-0 up, you always run the risk.
Yeah, you mentioned the referee's explanation. I know you went to see him at full time. Is that what he said to you? Did he try and explain both the decisions?
Yeah, he says he has to apply the letter of the law, especially the first one, because the distance the ball travels and hits his arm. If that's the letter of the law, but at the same time I find it really harsh. And the second one, his interpretation of it was that the goalkeeper came out in a reckless manner and the striker got to the ball first. There is a little bit of contact there. I feel it's probably been initiated from the striker, but at the same time, VAR can't then intervene. He's not seen it back, wasn't given the opportunity to look at it back, because he says there was contact and there was. So it's probably one of these subjective ones that could have went either way. If he doesn't give it, I don't believe VAR give a penalty. And it's probably one that, when I think back to the Rangers game, that was someone else. Someone said that to me as well. You know, that's one that if he doesn't give it, you don't get overturned. So hopefully it all balances itself out. Unfortunately, we were on the wrong side of it today, but we need to learn from these moments and keep moving forward.
Yeah, you mentioned keep moving forward. In the end, it's a point on the road, but it extends our unbeaten run to 9 games. It's important that we don't lose sight of the momentum that we have built in the last few weeks.
100%. You know, I think we are in a good place at the moment. The results round about us today has made it even tighter. You know, from 11th up the way, every single team in that league are going to be looking at trying to get into that top 6, and that's our full focus first and foremost, is to cement a place in the top 6 as early as we can. We've got some big fixtures coming up with opportunities to try and do that, but the momentum's there, the positivity's there, and like you say, a point on the road's never a disaster, and gives us an opportunity now to get back to Easter Road with a home game at the weekend to look forward to.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate your time.
Thanks very much. Sorry, just a special mention at the end as well to all the supporters that came up. You know, the conditions we left Edinburgh yesterday in that central belt, so far over, I think it was about 1,000 people managing to come up. We're very grateful for that and hope they get home safely. So thanks very much.
Nice one, Dave. Very well said.